Some time ago, I had a conversation with a friend who also happens to be a scientist, and he argued on the following lines. He argued that science cannot disprove God's existence because science is restricted to the scientific method. Now, the scientific method being one of observation and doing experiments. Now, when I asked him, but what about reason and logic? He said, no, science cannot use reason and logic because reason and logic is a subjective thing. Now, I have found that many believers, they're quite smug to sort of argue on similar lines that you cannot use science and you cannot use reason and logic, and therefore they can believe whatever they believe in. Now, I'm not sure if one can actually restrict science in such a way, and I also think that I have the backing of people like Albert Einstein and Stephen Hawking to say that science cannot use reason and logic. I'm not sure that is the way to go. And also, I'm sure that a person like Albert Einstein would say to you that not only must you use reason and logic, but you must also use your imagination. And I believe that is the way that science actually progress. For every scientific discovery, that opens up new questions. And with a new question, what you need to do is to think about it. You must use your reason, you must use your logic, you must use your imagination, like Albert Einstein did, like Stephen Hawking did, and then work out hypotheses and test it through mathematical calculations, testing those hypotheses with the scientific method. Now, of course, I'm not saying that you can disprove God's existence through the scientific method, because obviously the scientific method works on observation, and God being invisible, imaginary, it's not possible to use the scientific method. But now to take the leap and say you can't use science, that I have a problem with. Of course you can use scientific facts, and reason and logic is not a subjective thing. Reason and logic works very much the same as a scientific hypothesis. If you put forward a scientific hypothesis, then that gets tested and tested and tested until it's proven or disproven. Now, the same with a philosophical argument. If you come up with a philosophical argument, you might think you are using reason and logic subjectively, but if you publicize that argument, it's up to other philosophers to pick holes in that argument and say, but here you are mistaken, there you are mistaken, this is a faulty argument, the facts that you are using here, did you forget about this and that? And in that way, your argument is taken apart, or maybe is so solid that it can't be taken apart. So in that way, the argument is worked out to be reasonable and logical. And to say that an argument or reason and logic is subjective, I don't agree with that. Reason and logic is not subjective. It's an objective test. It is a objective facts that you must look at. And it's an objective test to see if the reason and logic make sense. So in the next episode, I'm going to look at what is the scientific facts that one can actually use to disprove God's existence.